I've been in relationships with girls who, like, you can catch them red-handed, you know, in the worst type of way. They would rather suck your dick than apologize. It's so true. It's like, oh, you're still mad about this?
I just sucked your
They would do anything. They would jump through all type of hoops, then apologize.
I have not experienced that. No girls me instead of get saying sorry to me.
You're listening to the Dear Buddies podcast.
You will grow from boys into men. Whatever, dude.
What does that look? Don't get weird on me.
Hey, buddy.
For all those questions you can't bring yourself to ask your friends, ask your buddies.
Excited to have you back. We're excited to have the whole gang back in the studio where we were a missing group before, but now we got Pav back from Italy.
Don't ever touch me.
And we're going to have a really fun episode before we get started. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. But before we get into this specific episode and before we introduce our guest, I just want to say I'm sorry. That's it. I just want to say I'm sorry. I just want to start it off with an
Sorry for that bomb. That's what I'm sorry about.
I'm sorry for the.
Sorry I had to hear that. My ears had to suffer through that one.
Today,
Welcome.
Today we're going to be talking about talking about apologies and men apologizing. How is it that we can apologize? Why don't we like to do it? And I'm sorry to introduce our guest, which we're very excited to have. I'm sorry for that intro. You might have seen him on Dry Bar Comedy, The Tonight Show, and he's got a brand new album coming out sometime in the near future. Just recorded it. Super excited. I honestly don't even know your last name.
LeClerc Andre.
It's all because we were just talking about one names.
Yeah.
It's like single names, and I'm like, yeah,
Madonna.
no.
You got a very share name.
I honestly only have known you as LeClerc because who else is LeClerc?
Are you pushing me to like drop the Andre?
No, but I've never known. We've only met a couple of times.
Yeah.
But no one, if you say LeClerc, no one goes, which one? So it's never actually dawned on me that you even had a last name.
Yeah.
LeClerc Andre, everybody. Look at that. We're having a good time.
Parents just stopped the LeClerc and that was it?
No, honestly, I was like, wait a minute. What is this guy's last name?
Your name is reversed. It should be Andre LeClerc. That's what it really should be.
Well, thanks, Dad. Yeah. I don't know why you didn't do that at the hospital, but yeah, it's most people's surname. LeClerc is usually a surname. If you had that last name, then
right,
it's usually a last name.
It stands out though.
It does.
Stands out, yeah. You didn't even know your whole name, so
yeah,
it stood out that much. Yeah.
As I was getting to your name, I was like, fuck. Which one is it?
Yeah. I saw him panic. I was like, this guy he's not going to know his last name. But you apologized.
And I apologize
so that's
for not knowing your last name.
This episode.
Thank you for that was the bit. For me to apologize right up top. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Did it defend you that I didn't know your last name?
No, I blame the name. It's a lot for a name. So I usually give a lot of grace and a lot of patience with it. Like if your name is weird, then be patient with people. It's like it's not a common name, so.
Well, our buddy here reaches out to people to be on the show for us, and he didn't say, he didn't need to say LeClerc Andre. He just had to say LeClerc because we know who that is.
Right.
And I didn't even ask.
You are the one.
Stop
I'm about to
defend yourself.
Buddy, let me tell you how and again I'm sorry, but. I asked you because I didn't know all the credits. Yeah. Didn't even bother to ask your last name because it didn't even dawn on me that you would even need one.
I wasn't going to mention it. I was like, man, before the show, he was like going through all my credits. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And he's like, by the way, what's your last name? On air.
No, no. And hey, I mean it. I'm sorry. That was unprofessional. Not only unprofessional, but it was rude.
No,
sorry.
It's fine. Honestly, I really don't get upset about it. A lot of comics, like, especially when a host brings them up and they flub their name, it's like, your name is weird. If your name is weird, I get it. But if your name is Mike Jones and people are like, yeah, give it up for Mike Jameson, it's like you had one job and it was an easy one at that.
Yeah,
I feel like you're actually telling me this right now.
That does bug me when your name's weird. I fuck it up, especially if I'm bringing up like a check spot. I'm like, I don't really know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, don't get mad at me for that.
Comics love giving people grief for messing up their intros and their credits. It's like none of it matters, right? If you're funny, they're gonna find out your name, right? And the credits never really help. It's like, oh man, who's that one guy from the Tonight Show? It's like, no, they don't care.
Also, you can't please any host because if they say, what are your credits or what do you want me to say, and you give them something specific, they're like, all right. And then if you say it doesn't matter, they're like, oh, for God's sakes, give me something.
For sure.
Right. You never win. You
No,
never
I
win.
like. Don't give me something so specific though. Like,
Oh, you're one of those.
don't give me like MTV Wild and Out episode 3. Like, I'm not. I don't. Just say MTV. It's no big deal. No one watches it anyway. Who gives a shit?
That's funny that people do that.
I
don't ever.
I had one person be
so.
like, "Oh, I was on Wild and Out." I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you were on Wild and Out." He goes, "I was in the audience on Wild and Out," and they panned to me. Yeah.
Not to get too inside baseball, there was a guy that did. He has used his credit as the Tonight Show because they pick somebody in the audience to like say something from the audience, and he uses that as his credit as a comic. I was like, "Ew,
Flag on the play.
I think I know who that is, but I forget who it is.
Absolutely not.
You can tell it's not going to be funny.
Yeah.
If it's that specific, it's not going to be good.
Well, sorry.
I had a host one time before she brought me up. She was like, "Hey, what are your credits? Just one." It's like, relax, relax. I'm not gonna like give you a resume. Just one. That's like,
tough.
all right, I get it. You're sick of it. Quit. Yeah.
So this podcast is apologies, and you're the one who told us, or we ask usually, what do you want to talk about? Vulnerability, emotions, and you were like apologies, and we were all like, damn.
We got excited. We got excited.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have like a long list of like topics. If someone doesn't have something,
Right.
There's nothing like that really speaks to them. So we'll go, okay, what about this or this? But apologies was like nailed it, man, on the first shot.
And you were
like,
quick with it.
Oh yeah.
So let's get right into it. Why was that something that you wanted to talk about?
It's just something that I personally care about because I feel like a good apology can make the difference in a relationship, right? And a bad apology can also like make and break a relationship. So I think we've all been in front of a person who's apologizing, and sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it, right? So you ever been on the elevator and the person says like, "Excuse me," but they say it like, "Fuck you." Right?
It's not excuse me. It's excuse me.
Excuse me. It's like they're saying it like, "Get the hell out of my way," right? So for me, like I've been on the receiving end of an apology, and it's like it's so bad that I'd much rather you not apologize. That's how bad some apologies are. And some things, of course, don't need an apology. Some things you could just say, "Hey, my bad," or some things don't need to be addressed. But I've been in a position where like my relationship with apologies, they're so serious at this point that like I'm so when it comes to apologies, like give me a good one or don't give me one at all.
Well, what makes a bad apology initially? Like the first thing
Your heart's not in it.
Yeah,
Your
but
heart's not
what makes the heart not in it? Is it a lack of eye contact? Is it a tone?
Maybe they don't think maybe they don't think they're wrong, and then they're just
No,
doing
I understand why. What are some keys for someone to be like, well, this isn't. I'm not feeling this apology.
Yeah, well, so many things go into a bad apology, right? One thing for me that I look for is how they frame the apology. So let's say you're upset because I spilled water on you, and I say, "Hey, I'm sorry that me spilling water on you made you upset." It's like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
My favorite bad apology is, "I'm sorry if that made you upset."
Right.
That is. Not only is that not an apology, that is a full insult. That's a screw your apology.
And it's condescending even because you're assuming that the person hearing it doesn't understand that it's inauthentic. They don't understand that, hey, you don't really care about this. You're just saying this to appease.
Because
right?
you're not taking responsibility for what the apology's for.
Absolutely not.
You're telling them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, that upset you?
Yeah.
Hey, if that's what happened, my bad.
Yeah.
Fuck you to death."
I feel like I feel like the only time someone's ever done that to me, which I can't really even think off the top of my head, is when they want to start a fight. Like I don't think anybody was like actually did that, and I feel like that's just a button pusher right there, right?
Well, not necessarily.
You think people actually do that, not even thinking about it?
Oh, now
Absolutely.
I know.
100%. I got last time I was home, not to like dig into my shit, but me and my dad, last time I've been home a couple times, we get into it pretty hard.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm maybe
You're the same exact person.
It might be.
That's what it comes down to. Yeah.
Either it's his age or my age
Yeah.
or the combination of his age and me getting older.
He
But
likes Costco. You love Costco. You know.
Oh, but I wish that was it. But we got into a huge fight, and and it just got to the point like, if you can't even acknowledge that what you're saying is hurtful, and he's like, "Listen, if that hurt you, I'm sorry. I was like, man, I will fucking rip
Yeah,
you.
that's annoying.
I'll smack you right in the head.
Yeah.
I've never wanted to hit my dad, but in that moment, I was like, I might fight this man.
Yeah.
Because his sorry was not an apology.
Yeah, you have to examine a person's intentions. So, like with your dad, I do feel like sometimes people say, "I'm sorry if," right? And oftentimes that can be them intentionally like trying to avoid taking accountability.
Right.
But oftentimes people just don't know how to sincerely apologize. So you really have to examine who this apology is coming from, and do they actually have the language to give you an authentic, meaningful apology. And if you don't know, of course, you have to dig a little bit deeper. But like, we all know people who are capable of giving sincere apologies. They're just not emotionally in the space to volunteer that. And then we know people who are like, they don't want to apologize at all, so they'll just do it to shut you up.
Yeah. And
that's-
appeasement.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more malicious, and their intentions are not good.
Oh, this sounds like my family.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cousin fight that I had 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So what was it about? Like, why is it such a big deal to you? Like, what has something happened to you where you're like, you need to be so aware of apologies and giving and receiving?
Well, I've noticed that like we give passes to a lot of people in our life, right? Like, for instance, if you met a person off the street and they were mean to you, it wouldn't take much for you to curse them out and like and be mean to them, right?
It takes nothing for me to get angry.
But if
He's going over to my lane and I'll fucking curse you out right
Yeah,
away.
we've seen it.
Yeah,
Sometimes they come in, you go into their lane and curse them out too.
Yeah.
We gotta get the footage from that. Play it right up there. Scopo fights cab driver.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I would love to fight a cab driver. I really would. I can't stand them.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
No, but but it's easy to be mean to strangers. It's easy to be mean to like associates. It's even easy to be mean to like kind of associate friends, right? But people that you care about, it's hard to be mean to them. It's hard to cut them off, and it's hard to hold them accountable, right? So think about your family, right? Let's say you have a mother who might be kind of mean or abusive or inconsiderate at times. We'll forgive them over and over and over again, and we never hold them accountable because that's your mom or that's your brother, or you got to get over it. That's your whatever. But it's like, abuse is abuse no matter who it's coming from. So if a person on the street slaps you, you still have to protect yourself, right? And if your brother is slapping you, and it's like, yeah, that's my brother, but I still have to protect myself. I still have integrity, and I still have to, if I don't show respect for myself, how can I expect him to respect me? So what I found is that a lot of people close to me were, when they were wrong, they knew I would forgive them. They knew I was going to be gracious. They knew I was going to eventually get over it because they knew me to be a mature person. But
You're way too mature. You're way too mature. You should be an asshole. With that, how good looking you are, you should be the biggest dick on the planet, and everybody like, it's LeClerc.
Well, this is why people like him.
Yeah.
Because he has like all these positive traits, and he's still
Yeah, you're just a nice guy.
a nice person.
Yeah.
Well, I completely didn't even know your last name. On air, I screwed it up, and you're like, it's fine.
It's
Like,
fine.
yeah, you're a little
Yeah.
bit. But to me, that sounded like you might be or were a pushover.
Well, it's not.
Has
that,
anyone ever said that?
It's not that. I never saw myself as a pushover, but I know that like once I accept you as a person that I care about, it's much harder for me. I'm a very loyal person,
Right.
So it's very hard for me to like, once I let you in, to then kick you out. So I feel like some people, once I let them within a certain proximity of me, it's usually family, like especially family, then I find it really, really hard to then put up boundaries. So that's something that I had to examine within myself, because my friends would never really cross me like that. It was just the people who were like really, really close to me, like my family, that.
Did you have trouble when you were growing up? Was the family hard apologizing to each other? Was it difficult?
Well, that's the thing, is that like I didn't realize that I didn't examine those relationships until I was an adult. It wasn't until I was fully mature that I was like, hey, I hold everyone around me accountable, and I make sure that everyone else respects my boundaries. But for whatever reason, my mom could talk to me any way she wanted to and never felt the need to apologize. Never felt the need to own anything. And I realized that like, this isn't okay. Even though she's my mother, even though I respect her, I feel like respect is a two-way street. And so many parents have relationships with their children where it's like, I'm your mother, what I say goes, but you're my mother as you were rearing me. Now we're adults. Our relationship is truly optional. Right, our relationship is. I don't need you for anything. So when I
for
call,
me. I need my mom back.
No, he said he was an adult.
Yeah. My mom came over today, helped me with my new carpet. I was like, "Thank you for being here." Holy shit!
Holy hell, are we
my
shocked?
God. Yeah, it was not good at all.
but your mom knows that you depend on her that way.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And I think most parents use that currency as a way to keep us close and keep us in like this relationship bondage.
So almost like in your instance that your mom keeps you needing her so that way you don't stop.
My mom's an angel, doesn't do anything wrong.
Well, she doesn't say that about you. But maybe she uses that. It's a two-way street. You need her, and then she uses you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. She doesn't. I think it's a lot like her and my brother have a tumultuous relationship, and hey, good word.
You use that right.
Yeah. Word of the day. So like we have a great relationship with my mom. So I think that like she hones on to me and her because like she knows that's kind of gone with me, her, and my brother. I think. I haven't talked to her about it, but this is what my outside perspective.
You should ask her
as a therapist in my head.
It makes sense.
Talks about.
Though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. I know what I'm doing.
Was there a breaking point with you and your mom? Like, was there a moment where you were like, "This needs to stop"? And we need to change the dynamic of this relationship?
Yeah. Well, I started to like ask her questions. Like,
ooh, that's when it gets real interesting, doesn't it?
I started to ask her questions, and oftentimes you ask questions, you know the answer, right?
You just want to see if they're going to give the right answer or not.
No, I really want to see how she would respond to that type of adversity, like that type of emotional adversity.
Being uncomfortable emotionally.
Yeah. And actually having to reflect. It's not often that you have to like hold your parents like to any type of standards at all.
Right.
Especially with relationships. Like, hey, you didn't do this. It's usually your parents saying that to you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I called my mom and I was just trying to hold her true, keep her honest in a conversation. And the way she deflected, boy, oh boy, you would have thought she was Captain America. That shield came up. She was bulletproof. And I was like, ooh, this is pretty bad.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. And then the more I dug, the angrier she got. And I'm like, of course, you guys know me. I'm not accosting her in any way. I'm not being mean or I was just trying to have an honest conversation with her. And she didn't like it. She didn't like me treating her like a friend.
How old is your mom?
My mom's mid-60s.
Yeah, that generation doesn't want to talk about feelings.
No.
They hate feelings.
But not just feelings. You were saying this in the group chat. You've never seen your dad apologize. And truly, I can't think of a time that my dad apologized when I seen him do things that warranted multiple apologies.
Oh yeah, my dad still can't take accountability, even for like being late or something like that. He still won't. Traffic. I go, did you leave early? No. He's like,
Okay, but is that something that he's not apologizing to you because you're the son, and you because you know it's just our parents, or have you not seen them apologize to really anybody? Period.
I mean, probably I've seen him apologize for like my mom or I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head, but like things that he can't take accountability for. Like he can't, like he left late, he fucked up or something like that, something along those lines.
Even little things.
He won't take accountability.
I think it's a parent-child relationship. I think that there's something about a mom or a dad that will never see you past like 14.
My mom's apologized to me though. For stuff?
Moms, I think, can be different. I think moms are a little bit easier than dads. Well, I can be, yeah. I think that like with the deflection, I think was probably, do you think that she saw it because she saw it coming? Like that you were going to finally eventually try to dig into whatever the issues were? Or do you think it was because she just naturally had that, you ain't getting shit from me kind of vibe?
I think that it could be many things, honestly, if I'm being fair. But I really think that she struggles as a parent controlling her children. Like she still sees us as her children. So
because she wants to control you.
It's essential. It's core to our relationship.
How many kids? How many siblings? Okay, yeah.
That's all she raised you and she controlled you. So that's slipping away from her, and that's hard for her to grasp.
It's so much of it is like the foundation of our relationship. Is this is my son, and I can ask of him whatever I want to ask of him.
But also, you're going to mess up. Just
I'm
like you
gonna
did when
mess
you were a
up.
child. No, but just like you were
Right.
when you were a child.
But I'm happy
even
to
if
I'm happy to apologize.
But even
That's
if
the
you don't,
difference.
though, but even if
Yeah.
you don't do something wrong, they're still going to assume that you're going to do it wrong.
Right.
That was the big argument that I had recently with my dad. Was it started off with he was like, "Hey, make sure you lock the door on the way out," because I was staying at their house, and I was like, "You got it."
Yeah.
He said it again. I go, I heard you the first time, got it. And then turned this whole thing. He's like, well, you're not used to locking doors. I go, I live in New York City.
Yeah.
I lock 15 doors an hour. What are we talking about here? And it just
Lock a door right now.
And I'm like,
Boom.
have I
Lock, boom, bitch.
I'll
Lock it right
it,
now.
man.
Lock my
kidding me?
phone just now.
But the argument is like, he probably remembers from when I was 13,
Yeah.
I maybe left the door unlocked. And to him, that means I'll never be able to lock a door.
Right.
I'm too immature to lock doors because one time possibly that nobody could remember,
Yeah.
I didn't lock the door. So therefore, I am in his mind forever going to be someone that doesn't lock the door. And he still up to this day is like, I'm getting angry right now thinking about it.
Is your dad like? Does he forget a lot of times? Because I have this with my dad. My dad will tell me 14 different times to do something, and after the third time, I'm like, you fucking told me already. Then he gets angry because he knows he's slipping. That he doesn't remember saying that, so he gets it mad because he knows he's getting older.
Yeah.
So that's his pushback of like
I'm sure that's part of it.
I'm getting
Yeah.
older. Fuck you. You know, like I told you. I'm like, you told me 4 times, but whatever. So he's
Yeah.
like angry at himself for forgetting.
Was it specific things that like personally you'd be willing to share about like you were getting into with your mom about, or is there certain
Yeah.
topics?
I mean, there's tons of things, but I got a lot of spankings when I was a kid.
Sure.
And one time I asked my mom, like, hey, this is so crazy. But I was like, hey, is there a reason why you were so, like, so abusive? Like, why you gave us so many spankings when we were kids? I was like, is it because your parents gave you spankings when you were a kid? Because that's usually how we learn discipline. We learn it from the way we were disciplined. And she was so cavalier when she said it. She was like, oh, no, I never got spankings when I was a kid. I'm like, what type of sadist, like, just like, it was so hard for me to wrap my head around this idea that, like, she grew up in a gentle household, like, where her parents were patient, they never spanked her, and I just assumed, I projected this innocence on my mother, like, oh, she's only beating us because this is all she knows, right? It's a cultural thing. She's raising 3 kids by herself. It must be hard, you know what I mean? This is what they do. But she never got spankings when she was a kid.
Do you believe her though?
Oh yeah,
Really?
I know for a fact because her siblings corroborated that.
Oh, okay, because that sounded like a deflection.
I was a good person. You're not. What's wrong with you?
I asked all of her siblings, like, yeah, your mom never got spankings ever. And
But they did this. Her siblings.
One of her siblings got spankings.
Maybe could be like she saw the
it,
sister or brother getting hit for reasons, and she's like, well, I got to do that.
but she also saw firsthand how ineffective it was because her sibling that did get spankings is still a wild girl to this day. I love her to death, but she's still a wild girl.
Yeah, can't tame that stallion.
Yeah,
You know, I got one too, Aunt Josie.
Oh yeah,
Wow,
Josie's out of her mind.
75 years old,
Love her to death.
popping perks like it's no tomorrow.
but she's a good time.
Blast,
She's a
bro.
good time.
She's a good time. 75, no kids, wears spandex. I can't have that confidence. It's ridiculous.
So when you apologize to people, you genuinely I say sorry. I come from a
The land of
sorry
sorry.
nation.
Yeah, but you're sorry. You say it so much, it gets a little.
That's what I'm saying.
Like bullshit. Yeah.
Well, like I think you bump into someone. Sorry. You know, you're just conditioned to say it.
Right.
But like, do you know like when it's the right time to say sorry, and when you're like, this is. I'm just saying it because I have to say it type thing.
Yeah, most apologies are like a reflex, right?
I'd say
Something happens.
98% of
Yeah.
mine are just like sorry.
It's
sorry.
almost an impulse, like, to apologize, especially if you're a decent person.
Yeah, I'll say with you, when we used to argue in the old house.
Used to.
Well, yeah, when we lived together more often, we argued. But you would never say sorry. I was after like a week of not talking, I'd be like, all right, now I'll apologize or something like that. You hold a grudge, and I would say something. Hall of Fame, hold a grudge. You fucking crush it.
Buddy, when you push me into a wall, I always go,
not this.
sorry about that.
Not this one, but in the old house, I'm saying you could hold a grudge. Let me tell you something. You're great at it.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think I appreciate
Do you think
that.
it's specifically guys that have an issue with apologizing because that's an admission of guilt?
Absolutely
And a
not.
weakness? No.
Absolutely
Wow.
not. No
Going
way.
against the studies.
Yeah, you hear that, women, huh?
Yeah.
This is
Going
good.
against the studies
Yeah.
we learned about in the group chat that Scopo sent.
Yeah, it's
Earlier
really
this afternoon.
It's really a case by case thing because I've been in
Really?
relationships with girls who, like, you can catch them red-handed, in the worst type of way,
And they're just like, eh?
they will struggle. They will rather suck your dick than apologize. It's so true. It's like, oh, you're still mad about this, and it's like,
But I just sucked your dick.
it's like they would do anything. They would jump
Really?
through all type of hoops, then apologize.
I have not experienced that. No girls blowing me instead of saying sorry to me.
Yeah, you just wait for an apology. They're like, well, I guess this relationship's over.
the before we got on the podcast, Scopo sent us some articles saying how guys have a problem apologizing.
Yeah, it was the what was the
Their egos get in the way.
It's
Their
a pride thing, for
it's
sure.
a pride thing.
Yeah.
So, but you're saying no.
I'm saying no, and I think that like most guys don't even pay attention to it because guys generally are pretty forgiving. Guys don't really hold grudges as long normally.
I think guy to guy.
I say guy to guy.
But guy
I
to
can apologize
girl?
I can apologize to guys way easier than I can apologize to girls.
Right. I think guys, we really don't care to like. I think it's weird when guys are like, I'm beefing with my girlfriend. It's like, get over it. It's your lady. You know what I mean? But girls can hold grudges. But I found that like a lot of girls I've dated, like they could be super wrong and they'll just have an issue apologizing. And it's not. I think a big issue with when it comes to apologies is that it's rare that that one person is solely wrong and the other person is completely right. So it's hard for people to say, I'm sorry for this, knowing that you, or feeling like you're also owed an apology in return. And nothing's guaranteed that you're going to get that apology. So oftentimes people's like, I'm not going to apologize to you because you haven't apologized to me, and we both owe each other apologies.
See, I find myself wanting to be the first to apologize in situations, especially with my girlfriend or, other scenarios. And I won't expect it from somebody else. Like, if it's friends, guys, whatever, I'll be like, hey, man, sorry for whatever. But with my girlfriend, if I apologize, then I'll just sit back and be like, it could take it. No, it's like, hey, you know what? I was wrong. I said the thing I said. I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah.
Was it a place of anger? I'm sorry. And then silence.
Yeah.
And then I won't ask for it, but I'm like, where the fuck is it?
Yeah.
You had a part in this.
Right.
Where's your apology?
Oh, no,
Some
I put the
people are
Spartan helmet
gross.
on, baby. I go to war. I'm ready to rock right now. Yeah.
So when I used to work construction, go ahead, say it. I got coffee.
Air quotes around work.
Yeah.
But there used to be such dudes yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Right. And if some guy went over the line and was maybe a little too rude or a little too mean, because that's all it was.
Right.
It was, but no one could hold a grudge. And if someone would apologize, the other guy couldn't accept it because then he looked weak. Like, oh, that didn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
whatever. You're just breaking my balls.
Yeah.
Even though everyone saw that it was a little too much and it was a little too rude.
Yeah.
But in an all male dominated workspace, like accepting an apology sometimes shows that you were hurt by it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes me accepting an apology that seeps in. I go, oh, that means that my feelings were hurt or I was upset. I'm not. Don't even apologize to me, bro.
But could that be a group setting? Like, I'm around other guys, you're like, we talk about it, but one-on-one, like, all right, thanks, buddy.
No, maybe
As
it's a
in
group
the herd,
thing.
because then you're weak around other guys. That's
Maybe-
when the caveman comes out when you're like, I can't get hurt. You're bleeding out, and you're like,
Yeah,
I
you
can't.
gotta
No, I'm good.
Maybe
You
it
gotta be
was
the pack leader.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a group thing, not just guys. That's just the only time I was around like a bunch of people. And
No, guys are very inclined to decline an apology because it will show like, hey, I was adversely affected by your behavior, right?
Exactly.
So instead of by accepting an apology, you're also saying, hey, you really did hurt me. And no guy wants to be the guy saying, hey, man, you really hurt me, right? So a lot of people just avoid that and say, nah, get the fuck out of here. Nah, it was nothing, man. I forgot about it. What are you even talking about it? Yeah. Suck my dick. And it's like,
And then they do, and they're like, what happened? I just sucked your dick.
nah, that's an apology. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Get the balls. Yeah.
Oh, man, they must real feel guilty about this. That's a good tickle.
Yeah. You should piss me off more often.
What about thank yous?
Thank yous?
Because I think thank yous and sorries kind of they're in the same category of.
Oh, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Emotional category.
I think thank yous is more of an etiquette thing, right?
Just being polite, Mike. Jesus Christ, where were you raised?
I say actually thank you, but I'm like, thanks a lot. Like I appreciate when someone does something nice for me, but an apology, like, dude, I got maybe one apology every 5 years in me.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
Yeah.
I have to think.
I can say thank you all day. but like,
And I mean it.
and I'm sorry is exhausting.
So what about a thank you to an apology?
I don't know what that is.
I say to you, I'm sorry for doing something, and you accept the sorry because you admit that you were hurt.
Oh.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was bothering me.
Oh, no, that's fair.
a tough thank you.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I
Maybe
think.
that's what I was thinking of with thank yous.
Yeah. You know what? You know one thing also that I want to bring up is that I have an apology limit as well. So you ever
You hit your quote for the day?
like ever give a person an apology and to them it's not good enough?
Oh yeah.
It's not good. So you find
you apologize to somebody and they don't accept it.
And they don't. And they give you a hard time about it. It's like, no, but you don't understand. It really hurt. And I was like, I'm sorry. And like, yeah, I know you said you're sorry, but I need you to hear me. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And you find yourself in this like apology cycle.
Yeah.
And you have to take a person at their word, right? You have to say, hey, if this person's being sincere, if either you accept the apology or you don't, but you don't leave them in this purgatory. You don't leave them in a space where they're like,
You're sorry wasn't enough.
groveling and like, oh, I'm sorry. What can I do to make this? And it's like, either you accept the apology for what it's worth, you believe that the person's being sincere, or something else. But like this idea that we can leave people to like apologize over and over and over again is such bullshit.
I guess it depends on the severity of the
criminal behavior.
But it depends on the severity. Like, you fucked my mom. Like, I'm sorry. Like, no, sorry's not good enough. You slept with my girlfriend. You cheated on. You knew whatever. Like, there could be points where it's like, I don't accept your apology.
Yeah. And
you don't understand what you're saying. You're sorry, but you don't. But fuck you. You don't mean it.
But you're talking about that's a bad apology.
Right.
Yeah.
Bad person. How about that?
That's like that might not be, you might be cutting that person off.
Yeah,
from your
yeah.
life.
Sure.
An apology ain't gonna cut it after that.
Right, but if we're talking about a situation where an apology is owed, an apology would be sufficient, and that isn't enough for that person.
But that's their own problem. Yeah.
That's their own problem, and I feel like a lot of times we're in situations with people where it's like, hey, I believe I owe you an apology, and I'm gonna give you an apology, and sometimes they'll like accept it in front of you, and then the next time you see it, you could tell they're still mad, or you could tell there's still like something there. I don't feel the need that it's not on me anymore to continue to apologize every time I see you and try to make amends every time I see you. Like, I was sincere when I initially apologized. If you accepted it in that moment and you really believe that you accepted it, now you have that work to do. Now you have to figure out what is it about this situation that's still bothering you. But you can't keep putting that back on me. Like, hey, I'm still mad about this. I'm like, all right, so we can talk about it. But the apology you got on Thursday, that's the only one you're getting.
Yeah. You just hand the card of a therapist. You go, you need it, buddy. Yeah.
Sunday now.
The debt has been paid.
The weekend is over.
I got NFL games on here. You're not getting a fucking apology from me anymore.
Like, you cashed the check. I saw it come out of my bank. There's nothing else owed.
You said thank you.
What's the article talk about with men? Like, why specifically men
Who
from...
wrote it? First of all, though.
It's a blog. It's called
So,
No. I honestly, I researched. I was like, make sure a woman wasn't writing
No,
this.
but he actually makes valid points.
Yeah.
Because we read these two articles and we can't just say, oh, well, these two blog posts make it seem that now.
One of them was Psychology Today. Like, one of them was like a legitimate, like, website.
Who writes for that?
But it's more like Psychology Yesterday. Get with the times, buddy.
There's cultural reasons why.
What was that?
There's cultural reasons why apology is hard for men. Men
And
are
he
trained-
screwed up cultural twice. He said
no, I know.
Cultural and then cultural.
I apologize for making that mistake. Okay, you ready?
I've been ready.
Okay, fucking talking. Men are trained thousands of years over evolution and conditioning to be the aggressors. So it's hard as you're an aggressor to be a guy to be like sensitive and be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. You're showing vulnerability with
Cavemen.
this.
Right.
What? You are the most person to a caveman. You should know this.
You just said you've got one sorry every 5 years. This is you.
That doesn't.
But you look like a caveman. Look at you, for Christ's
I
sake.
don't think.
I just made that joke.
Just now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
apologize that you didn't hear it.
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry it wasn't funny enough to register for me.
Wait a minute.
Not an apology. Not an apology.
Wait a minute.
That was
As
a
an
deflection.
aggressor, our DNA makes us not want to apologize because we have to be the person who's the hunter. Like,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that is the reason men apologize less than women. As Psychology Today quotes.
Well, it's a sign
says
of
that we are.
a sign of weakness. Apology is a sign of weakness.
But he's saying, LeClerc is saying, and I think he's got.
And he's weak. I don't know what you want to say. Like, I don't know what the hell.
He's saying that women don't apologize as much as men don't apologize. There's no. What is the scientific evidence that women are apologizing more than men?
Well, I think maybe you have to take into consideration is the women LeClerc dated.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Come on in. I brought my focus group.
Well, that's the other problem too. Is that every time that you would date a woman, you'd be like, "Welcome to my focus group," and the group part they weren't really anticipating.
Yeah.
They're saying a lot of it's vulnerability,
You made it worse
and
by
emotions.
pointing it out.
I did.
Vulnerability, whatever the fuck the word is. I can't say it right now.
It's very funny,
And
though.
weakness.
Did you somehow put my last name into vulnerability?
Vulnerability.
Or vulnerability and weakness. There you go.
Okay.
Differing emotional expectations. I think most of us expect the rest of the world to experience life as we do. If I wouldn't be bothered by something, why are you? Something like that.
That's an interesting point. Yeah. Why does this bother you?
That the one thing I have. This is why I don't apologize once every 5 years. Honestly, some things don't really bother me as much that another person would. Like if I get my ball, maybe it does, and I just can't grasp it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I don't think that it needs to bother you as much as you need to see that it bothers somebody else that they did something wrong and accept their apology as much as you might need to apologize. You know what I mean?
Well, I did something recently where I upset my girlfriend, and I was joking, and my intention was a joke. I wasn't trying to I know when I'm maliciously trying to fucking go at someone, but this was a
But
joke.
you should apologize for the last 6 years of you guys' relationship that you sucked her into it.
yeah, good one. Anyways,
I'm sorry you had to go through that.
I text her every day. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry that your boyfriend is who he is.
Well, I saw that she was upset about it, so I apologized because I made her sad. But I didn't mean to do that. Like I didn't mean it, and that was a genuine apology, even though I know I was joking. It wasn't. I wasn't trying to. I could have though. I actually felt good about myself because I'm like I could not apologize, but I actually genuinely feel that she's hurt and I should.
Yeah,
That was
also
like-
you gotta find a place to live. It'd be a tough decision for you. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure too.
Yeah.
I looked at my bank account. I'm like, oh, sorry.
I
No,
you know
for
what?
sure.
I realize when going out with women, I'll say some shit. I get into the mood of like busting balls with guys. So we'll be talking. And I would throw something like a dig, think it just as a joke, and they would take that seriously. And I'd be like, oh shit, I can't. I'm not talking to a guy. That's tough.
Well, sorry.
I only date girls, so I've never had that experience. But
That's a good one. See, that's a good one. That's a good one.
he
Okay.
did clarify. He was like, when I go on date with girls, it's like,
Well, it sounded like there was another side. When I go to date with women,
When you have an ass like this, you gotta show it off to everybody. All right.
look, it's tough. Scopo is still trying to figure out vulnerability, which is a tough thing for him to have
We were
and
like
say.
3 seconds into that laugh when he clicked that he was being made fun of. It was like, oh god.
I'm sorry I'm not smart enough for you guys. All right. You know.
I think the toughest part, the hardest apologies for me to give are those apologies where I don't think I would be owed an apology if this happened to me.
Exactly.
So it's hard to imagine the impact. It's hard to imagine, if
Exactly.
yeah, this person's taking this differently than I would take it.
Yeah, but I did go too far. Even though I didn't,
Right.
I saw that it affected her and she was sad.
And that's enough.
Yeah, that was enough for me.
Have you ever apologized for something you didn't do? Just to squash it?
No, that's garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
That's a bad thing to do because that's also dishonest.
Or that you didn't mean?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant initially.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I do apologize for. I mean, we're comics. We say shit that bombs all the time. Like, and sometimes it just lands in a way that you didn't think, and then before you know it, the person's crying. It's like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. It was a bit blah blah blah.
Made people cry.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried some jokes out on the wrong people.
Oh, buddy.
Really?
Yeah. It's oftentimes it's not like who you joke on, or it's like who they're around. It's like, oh man, this joke kills in private, But when I say it around your friends, all of a sudden it's like, how could you? And it's like, oh my God, you're a different person now.
It is tough going around other people that aren't like in the world that you're living in, and you're like, oh, I gotta reel this one in.
You gotta read the room sometimes, man. You know, one thing I'm very cautious of, people who apologize too quickly. You ever meet a person like this? Like, you could be flaming, and before you can even get the words out, they're like, my bad, I'm sorry. And it's like, nah, wait a minute. You're going to hear why I'm pissed off, right?
Yeah.
You're going to hear what you did. And like, oftentimes I feel like that's oftentimes a sign of a sociopath, a person who doesn't want to like have any type of engagement, meaningful engagement. So they'll just apologize to shut you up. Ugh, that drives me crazy.
Oh, I love not accepting an apology.
Yeah.
That makes me feel so good because you like, fuck you.
You're reclaiming your time.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, no,
I'm a senator.
my time.
Reclaim my time.
No.
The senator reclaims his time.
Yeah,
I
people-
don't accept it, and fuck you forever.
Yeah. I have a family member. I swear they're so quick to apologize. When I say that person is a narcissist, he is such a narcissist, but he will apologize for everything. He doesn't mean any of it. He doesn't mean any of his apologies, but he will apologize so that he doesn't have to hear you talk anymore.
Have you ever had an apology that then made it worse? That made the situation worse? You went in there saying sorry, and then somehow, some way, the apology escalated into a worse scenario than
Absolutely.
it was.
Oh yeah. I think the
Absolutely.
apologies.
I'm the goat at that.
Because it's like, I am sorry for this. Wait, you did what? Like a sorry
I'm
is
not
an
that dumb.
admission.
I'm not an idiot.
An admission. Wow, let's not get crazy.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all apologized, and it's just gasoline on a fire. It's like, oh.
Okay, good.
Is there any
You really try to take that back. Let's go back in time. 5 minutes, please. Where's the DeLorean when you need it?
Is there anything that's on your chest now that you want to apologize in general, not to like a specific person unless you have, but is there something that you would like to get off your chest right now that you can skip their names if you want, but is there something you've done in your life that you would like to apologize
Yeah,
for?
if the person's famous, please say their names. We have the algorithm hits, all right?
Yeah, we need these clips to hit, buddy.
All right. Do you know anyone famous that you fucked over? Please.
I would like to apologize to Lady Gaga for not dating her when I could have. Anyway.
No, I don't think I owe anybody an apology.
Not even like as a kid or something that you can think of that you like might. And think about it. We're going to go around the room here and do it.
We are?
Absolutely.
Shit.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, so there are people that I could give an apology to for like things like in 7th grade, right?
Sure.
I could think of those people, but I also try to like forgive myself for who I was.
Right.
Right? So yeah, I'm sorry that I was a shitty kid at times, right? But I'm also not like losing sleep over the behaviors of my past. I don't think that's a healthy space to live in.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to see that person today, I'd be so happy to see him, and I'd be like, hey, by the way, I'm sorry for the way I treated you when we were 12. You know, but I'm not going to do it on the podcast. No. But I think LeClerc's talking about me. It's like, nah, I'm not talking about you.
There's this thing, I think I've said it before here, but it's shocking how much we think about what other people think about us and how little they actually think about us. It's like, we'll sit in our heads forever like, oh, I fucked up, or I can't believe this or that. And it's like, that person's like, I don't even remember this incident happening.
Yeah,
but
but
you just cannot get it out
At
of
the
your
same
head.
token, there are some things that someone has said to me
Go
like
ahead.
10 years ago that I'm like, oh man, that sort of bothered me.
But then you play it off, you're like, oh, I don't remember.
yeah, for sure.
What about you? Do you have any apologies laying around?
Yeah,
that old head?
I'll apologize to both of you.
Are you going to apologize to us?
For being friends with us?
Taking the last...
Yeah, throw Rubinov into that apology then too, I guess. No, I'll apologize for, like, yeah, Scopo touched on it, like, stubbornness and holding a grudge. Like, that's definitely something that I would apologize for because it's true. I will take it to the grave with me, and I would sometimes rather not talk to someone ever again than, admit that I was wrong.
I thought I was stubborn until I met you.
Yeah, you
can get it to the next level.
You're
I'm
a
like,
cut and
gee.
run kind of guy. You're like someone, I've been wronged or I've wronged. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Look at Rubinov smiling over there. He knows the deal.
Hey, this apology ends now. So you take
No,
it.
specifically, is there any specific instance or moment?
No, I think in general, like I haven't done anything like to warrant, just like little fights here and there where I've been stubborn and I've done things to poke at you guys because your anger sort of would make, if it were in a fight, make me feel better, and that's not healthy, and I want to apologize for that. But I don't think it's anything like necessarily where I've done something that's like really bad to. Do you has there? I will.
I was
apologize.
hoping for if we're talking to each other, I was hoping for an apology from. I mean, we'll see what Scopo has to say, but I was hoping for an apology that to continuing to be accused of jerking off in the shower when I didn't. That was that. I would love an apology.
Mike, it's over. We know. I mean, not to go back on
She
that.
did say it was inconclusive, Mike.
It was. You did,
Yeah,
but it's all good. You're.
What about you,
You
Scopo?
can't stop using big words now.
Yeah, I studied a lot when you were in Italy, right? Took an SAT prep course.
Yeah, that's my apology. Because I don't think I've done anything like to you two, like where it was like crazy. Maybe I have, and if I have, like then I would like to hear it, and
You guys should also know that him holding grudges is also his way of protecting himself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey,
But we
what
could crack them open a
the hell
little.
are you talking about?
No, that's the
Of course,
defense
of course.
mechanism. So like I used to hold grudges too, and then I realized that's just something we're dealing with. It's like inner turmoil or whatever. But yeah, when I see a person holding a grudge, it's like that person's just trying to protect their peace. They're trying to protect themselves. So I try to be patient with that. Yeah.
What about you, Scope? Any apologies you got laying
I
around?
got a lot in this head, baby. Let's see. Well,
I'm sorry. Scope, is there anything you'd like to apologize for?
that's pretty good, Mike. I'll give you that one. That was a good one. There's a couple things. There's an ex I would apologize to if I ever talked to her again.
Really? Go into it.
Yeah, I was just not. I was a dick to her because I knew I could be.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you took advantage of her.
I knew I could be. Yeah.
How old were you?
It was yesterday. So no, the 20s. You guys know the girl. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's I knew she liked me more than I liked her, so I used that to my advantage.
Could you want to say it if she just happens to be listening?
She's not at all. Trust me. I know that for a fact.
But put it out into the universe. If it
not doing that. So
She knows who she is.
yeah. So
no, I
she-
want to say name her name.
It happens. Someone kidnaps her and plays this. She'll get it. But there's no way she's ever gonna see this. Trust me. I know for a fact.
Her arms behind her back. Don't hit play. Don't hit play.
Yeah.
It's just Scopo. Vulnerable.
Yeah. That's her ISIS torture that we did. Yeah.
Chinese water drip. Please.
Yeah. Never. I don't want to see his face again.
She's like, turn the electricity up. Okay.
And then, yeah. I'll apologize to you two when I get a little
Let him at least talk, for Christ's sake.
aggressive on the messages sometimes when I get angry. So I apologize for that.
I truly, genuinely, I'm not to be a dick. You didn't mean that.
No, I want to say more, but I know if I say more, I'm going to blow it off.
Buddy, do it now.
No, it's going to be gasoline on fire.
Let's be real here. Let's do it.
No, all right.
When else are we going to do it?
Welcome to the last episode of the Dear Buddies podcast.
We were doing so well, man. We were on a roll.
This is going to be the final one. So
I'm sorry, guys.
Wait, do you think it would end the podcast if you apologize for
it's called
something?
jokes, Mike. Try 'em. Jesus.
So my apologies for trying to dig into the topic on a podcast where we're trying to dig into topics emotional.
Are you on here?
But my fault. Yeah.
You guys, I don't think you're as committed as I am at times.
That's not an apology.
Well, that's what I said. That's the gasoline on fire. I said, Mike.
But that's not an
But I
apology.
apologize for the aggressiveness. But the reason I'm doing is I don't think you're committed as I am, and want it as much as I do. And there's a certain line you have to go at it harder. And sometimes I'm like, you guys just aren't hitting it.
I will say this. I will say that maybe that applies to me because I'm lazy. But Mike is here. I actually get more offended when you say that for Mike's sake because he's here so much, and you don't take that in. This guy's here all the time, buddy. I seen this guy try to unscrew the mic with his mouth before we got
I
here.
thought it was a hamburger.
Well, yeah,
That's a good point.
No, but like,
I thought it was a charred hot dog.
if you say that to me, I'm not as phased. But to Mike, that sort of bothers me. For Mike's sake, because I don't think
This is why
that's.
it's the last episode, guys.
I'm not. It doesn't
saying, I
bother
don't
me
know if
because
it's
I know that
true.
it's wrong.
I don't know. I just don't think it's true.
Okay.
That's I would. Yeah, I mean that, but you feel that, and that's how you feel. You're allowed to feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
You're right. You're valid to think that way because you also do a lot. But it doesn't mean that you doing a lot is not a lack of other people doing a lot.
I apologize, Mike.
I didn't apologize. I was acknowledging you. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Do you mean
I
that?
know you didn't apologize.
Hold on. We gotta break open
that
this-
wasn't-
I want LeClercs. Hold on. Give me the mic. I want LeClercs feedback on this because here Scopo accused Mike
Of not caring.
Of not caring, and Mike doesn't see eye to eye with Scopo.
Yes, I was trying to deflect to let it go, but you're fucking digging, aren't you, buddy?
But this is what this is about. Yeah, and Mike didn't apologize because he doesn't believe that Scopo's claim is valid. So, how do you think Mike should handle that? And how do both parties leave feeling good?
Interesting.
So, again, this is a situation where I believe Scopo's apology is sincere. I do believe it's sincere, but there isn't a responsibility from the person receiving the apology to accept it necessarily, right? But Chris, you have to be okay with that when you're issuing it. You have to be okay with that as soon as you give out the apology. Like, hey, this is how I feel. Whether he accepts it or not, that's on him. But you've done your part.
It's over, yeah.
Especially if your apology is sincere. Now, the conversation that Mike's bringing up is a valid one in that, like, if he feels like there's some doubt in what you're saying, then of course you guys can discuss that and come to a better understanding there. But as far as being vulnerable and saying, hey, this is how I feel and I'm sorry for this, I think that was a fair gesture.
So I accept your apology for the aggressiveness because that is true.
Yeah.
And that means something.
Yeah, because maybe I didn't say that, and that's my bad.
I do too.
My bad. I apologize for not hearing
means
that because I moved like 2 steps ahead. So yes, you are aggressive, and thank you for acknowledging that and apologizing for it. But what I will, and I validate your feelings towards not feeling like we don't care about the podcast. I validate your feelings, but it's factually inaccurate that statement. And I know why you feel that way because you also work for the podcast. You also work hard at the things you do for the podcast. And it's tough when you're in a bubble because when I'm editing and doing all the things on my end, you guys aren't around. And so I'm there just grinding it out. But that my lack of you seeing you guys work does not mean it doesn't exist. Just because I can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I think that you lack perspective sometimes when it comes to that.
Oh yeah. I'm tunnel vision, baby. I got one way to go. That's up.
Right. But if you are working hard at something, you would perceive that to be other people aren't working because you are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So when you get angry, I think a lot of the reasons you get angry and you do the things that you did, like snapping and being aggressive, is because you can't see the forest through all of the trees that are in front of you. You don't know that I'm in another forest over
from
here.
Queens. We don't have forests.
Okay. So that's why. So you're right. I feel that you're okay. Like you're absolutely valid for thinking that, but I think that you're wrong. And I think you're wrong very much. And it's not an argument. I would love to continue to have a conversation about it, but I don't want to get like angry about it. I won't get angry about it because it's useless for both of us and for all of us.
Well, moving forward, you should look now and be like, Mike does a lot, and you have to like tell him this, because if he's just thinking it and you don't give him that, like, be like, Scopo, like, I do a lot, but you shouldn't do it all the time. Like, you guys have to have a lot of more communication sometimes.
Yeah, we communicate poorly. You and I specifically, especially since the pandemic.
No, me and you are all right. You like, I wish we weren't. I wish I didn't talk to you, but we talk more than me and Mike talk more, and you two, honest to God, you guys just sometimes gotta talk a little bit more.
With me and Mike, we're kind of the same person. We're the same kind of person. I've realized that.
I feel like if I react the way that you sometimes push, if I like give you back equal force that you give to me,
it would be a fight.
It would be a full-on brawl.
Yeah.
And so I have to absorb and deflect some of that and then just kind of head down, plow through it, because sometimes I don't even want to bring things up to you because I'm like, well, he's going to fucking snap, so I'm just going to ignore it. So to avoid that, and that's my fault.
I got issues.
Yeah, but that's my fault. You don't I don't deserve to own. I don't deserve to hold on to that emotion, but you also don't deserve to not be told how I feel.
True.
Oh, this is good.
You know?
No, this is good. This is
true,
really-
though.
Scopo, how do you feel right now?
I feel like I want to leave. Feel uncomfortable.
Well, before you go, you owe somebody an apology.
I do. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. You're 100%
What
right.
buffet did you shut down?
I would like to apologize.
East Tennessee.
There's a La Quinta Inn that I blew up the bathroom, and I feel bad for the. There was a maid service coming in that didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that.
Hey, there's I owe the Hampton Inn in Raleigh, North Carolina, an apology for flooding their bathroom because I got hammered and blacked out while taking a shower, and I woke up because the water got to my nose and I almost choked myself to death. That is not a joke. I
It's
apologize.
a poor immigrant lady trying to make a living. She went through war that day.
They had to change the carpet. Couple apologies, I would say. One, I apologize to, if you're going to talk about buffets, I want to apologize to myself because March 10th, 2020, right as the pandemic was hitting, I was in Dover, Delaware, and I went out of my way to eat at a buffet because I was like, well, these might be closed eventually, so I got to get one more in. So I apologize to me for that. That's disgusting behavior.
Fair.
And I'm sorry that you and I don't talk as much because I feel like I
Shouldn't be.
I'm not.
Well, I don't,
I'm
that's
kidding,
got
I'm
nothing to do with you. It's got to do with me.
Yeah.
I apologize to you because I feel like me and you could be communicating better, and I think we had a better relationship. We all had a better relationship before we all moved out, obviously. But I think that the pandemic and then, you know, the issues that friends go through when they're in business together can get in the way. And I'm going to do a better job at it. And I apologize to my dad because he really pushes my buttons, and I shouldn't push back as much as I do, as much as I want to. Because I know it's like me trying to push a boulder, you know, with a shovel, and it's just not going to work. And so I just need to kind of accept it and be okay with the fact that he is an immovable object. And I either need to decide whether we're going to have a good relationship or no relationship. Yeah. And I think it has to be a relationship. So
With your dad, I've had the same way with my dad, and I think we were good. But when I was a kid, we used to argue like everything over everything. And I kind of realized as I got older, I was like, he's not changing in his ways because he's older. I can be the one to change. So I'm like, so he's not going to be here forever. So might as well just accept it, take it in, and then be like, oh, you're still my dad. You're a great dad. So don't worry about arguing. Worry about just accepting it.
What
I
is
need to
it?
get about
How do
that
you
too.
feel about that?
Oh, I don't know if I'm the person to ask.
No, I see. I understand where both of you are coming from.
Yeah.
now. I understand where both of you are coming from. You would rather have a relationship with your dad and not get at that, and then LeClerc is like, I deserve the respect regardless of who you are.
Right. I think
so-
so. The reason I said that's a tough one is because I do think it's important to meet people where they are. And I think it's so big of you to meet your dad where he's at, and I think it's smart of you to meet your dad where he's at as well, because
That's years of trying to do it the other
Yeah.
direction and being like, you know what, at this point in my life, it's almost like one of those things, like if I had kids, it's like they're either going to know their grandfather or they're not. Like I feel kind of
Right.
in that position where I'm like, I'm either going to hang out with, like know this guy,
Right.
or I'm just going to move on with my life. And I don't want that. I don't
Right.
want that for me. I don't want that for my family.
but emotionally,
And my
we're-
mom listens to this podcast, so she's going to hear this, and I'm going to get a phone call probably right now in the real time of this podcast.
Yeah, but emotionally, we're all far more malleable than our parents are. That's just the way we are built. We're just
And they more than their parents, and so on and so on.
right. But that's also going to change. We're going to get older. We're going to
course.
become more stubborn. We're going to become more stuck in our ways. So if we have the capability to be flexible now while we're younger, do it now. Try to meet them where they're at, and hopefully, like progress isn't going to look for them the way it looks like for us. Like we can make a 360 today and just change our tone about whatever, but we can't expect that from them. So if they give you even a small amount of progress, celebrate it, take it for what it is, and just like embrace that and own that moment. But it's also important to have realistic expectations of these people.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and I think you guys have really good expectations of your parents.
It's easy to say the things that I said, and I think it's easy for you to say that about your dad, and the execution is the hard part.
Yeah.
Because I can say all day, oh, I apologize, and I'm not going to try, but it's going to be, the hard part is going to be not
In real time.
lighting a grill and trying to shove his fucking head into it.
Where the fuck's my apology?
For what? Do I owe you an apology? Well, I didn't know we had to
Think
give each.
so?
What for what?
I don't know. fucking make something up. I want one.
Okay. Okay. I'll apologize.
No, that's the thing about having good apologies. People are like, man, I really want to apologize.
I mean, this guy got a great apology. What the hell?
Yeah, I
is
want to
this?
see what Sam's apology is to people besides the audience.
No, I have an apology. All right,
Flip on the
sorry
mic.
for being late today, but I feel bad about that. But I want to know from LeClerc in this situation,
Me.
what's happening right here.
Oh, I was just.
With me and him.
Yeah. What does it feel like? Does the apology feel? I feel like apologies are about healing, right? I'm framing it in the way of like, does the apology feel less effective when you have to ask somebody to apologize to you?
Sometimes it can feel that way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't a fair ask.
But I think what we just realized in real time is that he was asking for apology, and I went, for what? And I genuinely was like, I thought he was looking for an apology for something. I go, if there's something I did, let's talk about it. Because if I owe an apology, I'll give you an apology if I think it's deserved. But I think that answered that moment where I was like, I genuinely didn't know if I did something that I owe him an apology, and if I did, I would say it, and then after the podcast is over, I'd tell him to go fuck himself. Let me apologize. I am sorry for being too nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Carrying you in this podcast. Yeah.
I'm sorry for letting off the hook so often. I'm sorry for that coffee that clearly you didn't like. No, if you think I owe you an apology, let me know.
I was actually just kidding.
LeClerc, what can we plug for you? Besides, you got an album coming out. Your
Yeah.
last name is Andre. We can plug that. Let the world know.
Yeah, I have an album coming out. It's I Am LeClerc. That's just the name of the album. It should be fun. And I will not be apologizing for anything on my album. I will be saying some wild things. But yeah, it should be a fun little experience if you guys check it out.
And I would like to say thank you for the candy. We didn't even get to touch it because this guy brought gifts. He brought us candy for the podcast.
That's a nice guy.
We don't often get gifts for coming
bring
in.
candy. That's
Classy. You're
genuinely
too nice of a guy.
It's classy.
honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't want to come empty-handed.
No,
No,
that's
it's very
too
kind of
sweet.
you. You're going to
is
leave
my
empty-handed, though. So just, okay, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I feel like we made a little progress here between
Keep
the
your
three
hands
of
off
us.
me. Yeah.
LeClerc Andre, everybody. What a time.
Yeah.
Thanks to Sam for running the boards today. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes. It's super helpful. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it means so much to the podcast. So hit a like on the YouTube, hit a comment, do something like that. Any of that free stuff, you don't have to give us any money. We don't want it. But right now, we'd love it if you just left a review or something. That's super helpful. And it doesn't cost you anything. Thanks for listening.
Money?
Of course I want money, but this is the free stuff. All right, thanks, Pat, for ruining it at the very end. Hey, thanks, buddy. All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening.